Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of What the Crub. I am Megan Sneddon, journalist and person who likes to ponder the meaning of life.
And I'm Krystal Brandt, sidekick in life, authenticity coach, owner of krystalbrandt.com. And we're here to play today on some really juicy topics.
This topic is probably one of my favorite that's going to be on the show, and it is leaps of faith, making big life decisions before you feel like you are ready for them.
Mm-hmm. We know a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm. What do you got to say about that, girl?
We know a little bit about that, especially over the past year. I think one of my biggest accomplishments for 2014 was leap taking. It was making massive, friggin' risky, like I have no idea what I'm doing kind of leaps. And it has seriously opened up so much in my life for the better. A lot of times we think way too much. We think we have to have it all figured out. And sometimes the best gift that we can give ourselves is just to friggin' do it and figure it out. Trust yourself that you can figure out whatever comes your way. But of course, that doesn't happen overnight. So, Megan, what are some of the ways that you've been building up your courage muscle over the past couple of years?
A little like this. A little something like this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Can you see that definition? Can you see it? Because I'm feeling it.
Take a second on the show anyone?
I love that you refer to it as a muscle, because that's definitely what it is. I feel that big leap taking has just become a really naturally ingrained thing in my life these days. And I guess I started making big moves maybe, 7 years ago or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it is something that takes time to build up or get used to. And I've definitely found that, like, taking just one big leap of faith and realizing just how equipped I am to deal with the consequences or circumstances that come about with that choice has then led me to having more confidence to make even bigger decisions and even bigger decisions, or maybe even something that's not bigger, but like, okay, big decision over here and over here. I'm trying to just think of an example. I mean, probably
I want to guide you backwards in time.
Yeah, let's go backwards.
Yeah, let's go back to little Megan. Innocent, cheeky little face Megan. When she was like, say, like 19, 20, somewhere in there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I remember those days.
What was going on in your world? And, I mean, I don't know, that age came to me. I feel like there's, like, some kind of risk-taking in there. Like, when was it that you took that huge first leap of faith? Whether it was, like, flinging yourself around the world or, like, choosing the college against the grain of what your parents wanted. Like, what was that for you?
Yeah, actually, you know what? I think my first big choice was I just knew from a deep intuitive place that I really wanted to study abroad. And a lot of my family were like, no, that's a terrible idea. You know, we're not going to support you doing that. Why would you ever want to leave the U.S.? And I thought that I was going to study abroad in Italy, and I was actually studying Italian at the time. And then I don't know, I felt it would be more practical then to learn Spanish. And it was one of those things that, Krystal, you call uppercase knowing. It's not like you know it. You know it. Like, I just knew that I had to do it. I knew that I had to do it. I just knew it. And I knew it so much that it bugged me. Like, if I didn't make the choice to go study abroad, it was going to haunt me for the rest of my life. So if anything, sometimes when I've made these big choices, it's to satisfy that calling. When I feel like I have an urge to create something or do something, I simply have to do it, because I'm like, man, I'm going to live with regret of not doing this if I don't make this choice. So it was literally like, okay, well, I maybe didn't study abroad as soon as I thought that I was going to.
Yeah.
But I saved it for later in, like, my college career, because I got a job at California Pizza Kitchen.
Oh shit, CPK!
First job. To save up the money to make it happen, and just told my family, like, hey, you know, like, this is what I'm doing. We worked out very clear agreements. started saving the money, switched from Italian to Spanish, and got caught up because I was a little bit behind, and then just started clarifying like where I wanted to go, and then ended up going to Spain.
Girl, I feel so proud of like 20-year-old Megan. Like you were so brave. That's so awesome.
I was so young and I'd never been anywhere.
I know. I have the same exact experience. When I was, it was end of freshman year when I'm like, oh my God, I got this like feeling inside me, which by the way, in spiritual terms, like just to like nail that down a little bit, there are five, there are five, they call them the five clairs. And each of those are different types of clear messaging that we receive intuitively in our body. That when you say like, I just knew it, I just know it, I can't explain it. That's called claircognizance. Okay. And that's, a lot of us have that, but a lot of us ignore it. So as we're having this conversation, I want our listeners to tune into like, man, that sounds familiar. Like, what have I been tuning out or turning down and like pushing away and kind of ignoring that calling, because we have that as human beings on this planet. Like we have these callings to our epic heroes' journeys. And the longer that we deny ourselves those journeys, the longer we deny the wisdom from them. And when we take that wisdom back, we can't be then in service with that wisdom. We can't help our communities.
Totally, because the growth that took place during that period of my life is astounding in comparison to what, could have happened if I just stayed and not made that difficult choice. And I love what you're talking about, this type of knowing. My mom used to always refer to it as the little voice. And she still does. She'll be like, so what's your little voice saying inside your head?
I love that. Yeah. So my equivalent was at the same time, my first like big decision in my life, and it was to go to London for study abroad. And I did it. I actually turned 20 in London. And I think back, like, that was 10 years ago. I was such a little baby-faced, naive kid. First of all, I don't know how our parents, like, if I were a parent right now to, like, a 19-year-old, I could feel that sense of, like, oh, my God, my baby's going, like, halfway around the world. Like, what am I thinking? And yet, like, I just want to send some love to my parents and my family for supporting me in that, even though it scared all of us, like, sending love to them right now, because that choice and that trip, those mistakes made, those adventures had, those like wandering the streets by myself, for the first time, I took myself out of the context that I knew of family, of school, of relationships, of money, of all those things. I stripped them away and plucked myself down into this like foreign territory, which I think if you're going abroad, London's a beautiful transition. It's different yet so similar. You have like the same language. But that choice and that trip completely changed the entire trajectory of my life.
Dude, yes.
And I don't think there's been a single leap of faith in my life that I have taken that I've looked back on and said, oh, that was a terrible idea. It's always like, I never saw this shit coming. This is amazing.
And it's like, for me, it's like, who'da thunk?
Yeah.
Who'da thunk?
And who would have? Because here's the thing. Our ego only knows what we know. Our ego only knows where we've been. And so if we make decisions based in ego, we're only ever going to get what we've gotten before. And that's why the leap of faith, that expression exists. You're leaping into massive uncertainty and having faith that you'll be okay. That you'll come out of the other side more than okay, which has always been my experience.
Yeah. You know what seems to be a common thread that's run through all of my experiences like that is and this is a truth for me, that you're never going to be ready. And because that's what goes on with my ego stuff, is trying to justify a certain preparedness. Like, oh, I need to save up X amount of money. Like, I don't have enough money yet, or I don't have enough connections yet, or I haven't resolved X thing in my life yet, or haven't this or that or the other thing yet. And it's so easy to get caught up in that. And there's never ever with any of these big decisions been where the universe aligns and everything's just, there's a golden path down this treeway and everything's perfect, and it was laced in gold just for me, and it's so easy.
You look good there, though.
It's never been like that, but it's been the failures and the challenges and the like head scratching and the communication that's had to take place along the way to figure that out that's actually caused the biggest growth. So when things are imperfect, that's actually the perfect place to begin.
Mm-hmm. What came up for me when you were talking about that, like, I saw it so clearly, like that golden path, just like being honored and revered, like, oh, I'm making this amazing decision in my life, and it's like all coming together perfectly. Oh. There are signs, though, that happen when we make a certain decision. Mm-hmm. So I want to explain one of the next huge leaps of faith that I made in my life, which was last year. Seemingly out of nowhere, I was working with a life coach at the time, and he was Skyping me from Bali. I'm like, Bali, like, what? Where is that? I had no idea where Bali was. I had no idea what country it was part of, where in the world it was. I knew it was really far away. I thought only honeymooners went there, and I thought only rich people could afford it. That's what I knew of Bali in my head. So I finally asked him, like, what is going on over there? And he's like, the people are so kind. The food is so fresh. The nature is just so lush and incredible. It's tropical paradise. It's paradise on earth. And I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. And he's like, well, I first got here by working at a volunteer at a festival. He's like, let me just connect you. I'm like, let's translate what was going on in my brain. I'm like, that shit ain't for me. Who do I think? This little girl from Cleveland. I have a job and I have this life, and I'm like, I what am I going to do in Bali? Like, I can't go to Bali. Mm-hmm. So sure enough, he connects me with someone who gets me into the festival. I end up out of, seemingly nowhere. It was a purely intuitive path. I did not, that knowing, Megan, I could not turn it off. There was just something like, oh my God, could this be possible for me? Like, whoa, it was so shocking to me to think that, in my little corner of the world in, suburban Cleveland, that I could go to somewhere so exotic and so magical and amazing. Like, why would I deserve that? I just kind of want to punch that ego voice in the face now, because I'm like, yeah. Honey, you didn't know shit. So anyway, long story short, I end up going to Bali. It changes my entire world. I quit my job. It was this whole cascade of freedom effect for me, of stripping away the things that were no longer serving me in my life because I had just outgrown them. That's what we do. Mm-hmm. So I brought this up because my next leap of faith. And there's a very specific point that I've forgotten now. I got distracted by the rice patties floating through my head. Oh, God, the green, glowing jungle of Bali. Megan. So Megan was in Bali, too. Ooh. That's where we met. And do you remember? I'm going to just say 2 words, and I want to watch your reaction. Chocolate magic. Cacao ceremony? No, not that one. Karsa Spa. Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. But it's interesting that a lot of our big leaps of faith revolve around travel experience. Maybe that's not so surprising just because of the nature of what I do as a career, Krystal, but travel really does have the capacity to jerk you out of whatever life circumstance you are dwelling in that moment, and then transcend you into something else. Because when you went to Bali, you were like... oh no, okay, I compare these types of moments to pulling a hem on a dress. You see a little thread hanging off a dress, and you're like, oh, I'm just going to pull it, maybe that's just going to fix the problem. And you pull it a little bit, and all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, the whole thing comes unsewn, and you're pulling the thread until the whole freaking dress is unsewed. And it seemed there were
tones of that in your life at the time, because it was like, okay, Krystal came to Bali, and then it was like you were working through, it was like so many areas of your life, like pulling that thread, you know, and I'm just like watching the whole thing unfold. It was really uncanny to see that.
Wow, that's really cool to hear you like reflect that back, actually, because it is kind of. I guess I'm still totally in love and in amazing friendship with my friends from London as well. But like for such a recent experience, for you to have been there as well, to like watch my transformation, and both, I mean, you and I have been through, let go of, grown through so much in the past year together. And that is so amazing. So that brings up something really important too. So these leaps of faith, they were results of, for me, surrounding myself with like-minded people. So if you have this like dormant piece of you inside, that adventurer, you know, or that curious person that wants to explore these amazing places but thinks you can't, all of a sudden when you surround yourself by those people that have done it before, are doing it, or desire to do it, then it's sort of like the energy like is there to support you and say, oh my God, this is possible because I'm seeing it with my own two eyes, someone else. You know, how did that come about for you? Like, how has your support system in your world encouraged you to take more leaps of faith?
How has it?
Right? They kind of go hand in hand.
God. Sorry, just think about like my friends and the people in my life at the moment, and it's just so crazy to me who these people are right now that it just brings me with this joy that makes me laugh. Because my I almost want to, I don't want to say my friendship circle has changed, more that because I have certain key players that I've had for a really long time. My long-term friendships are very important to me, but it's just that I've added on more characters that I just feel really inspired by. How have they affected that? Yeah, I don't know. Like maybe I just see people within my circle making these bold choices, and I go, okay, well, if so-and-so has done it, then I can do it too. And it gives me a little bit more faith in like my own ability to complete things. Or there's so many people I've come across that are doing these like really outside the box things that I didn't even think of. And I'm like, okay, what is the X factor in my life? The X factor is something Deepak Chopra refers to as what you do not know that you do not know. So if, you know, the people in my support group were able to come up with something that I've never heard of, like in terms of my own life, like what don't I know that I don't know that could potentially propel me forward in some big decision that I want to make.
Yeah. So what came up for me, like, as you were talking about that is, like, my most recent leap of faith was to fly out to California with a one-way ticket.
Which I'm so glad you did.
Dude, me too. Can I just say, booking one-way tickets is, like, the biggest high. I just love it.
It's a huge leap of faith, and it is awesome.
It's, like, literally the symbol of a leap of faith. Like, I'm just gonna go and make it work.
No return. Yeah.
Literally. Yeah, and so what drew me here, though, in knowing that I could do it was not only, okay, so I have, like, an extensive self-care practice that took a long time to sort of, like, try on for size and to normalize to and to adjust as I grew. But there's a lot of foundational work that allows me to show up, and you show up. Even, like, this is an expression of our self-care. To be able to come together and share in this, like, vibrant energy. We've done, I mean, literally, I have like 3 empty glasses next to me. Like there was green juice, there was a green smoothie, and like my bed is made. So I have an environment that like, it's down to like the very fundamentals. I did my hair, I did my makeup, I feel good. I went out by the ocean, I walked, you know, so all of these are expressions of my self-care that allows me to show up the way that I do. So all of the foundational work leads up to a place where I really do know now I know that I can figure out whatever comes my way. And that's based not only on my own resources, which is fine. I'm good at figuring things out by myself. But also that I have a support system around me. You know,
Totally.
so part of what drew me to San Diego was there's an incredible community here of entrepreneurs, of conscious, like open-minded, amazing people. And I know that I'm not alone on this crazy ass journey, you know, so find your tribe, find your people, keep putting out. It actually starts with your own authenticity. Speak what's true for you. And it's like sending out the call for other people that believe the same thing and value the same thing to come towards you. You know, and all of a sudden you have this incredible community around you.
Totally. And in this leap, Krystal, in your life, I've loved receiving text messages from you that say, quote, I am so supported.
That's like my go-to phrase.
Because it is, it's that mindset that you're bumping up against when you're like, okay, tiny step forward, like, is this a good idea? And then you go, oh wait, like I am so supported. And then it's like you're with each move, you're realizing how supported you are in creating the life that you want to have. Mm-hmm. But you're not going to know that until you know, go for it and try. Because otherwise you're all up in your head being like, oh, you know, but then you do, and it is a pleasant surprise to be like, wow, that was so much easier than I thought. Or there was so much more there than I expected. Or I received so much more support than I ever thought that I was worthy of. And that's where the confidence comes in, because it's like training through the process, because you receive it by moving and working through it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, you know, something that actually has been coming up a lot for me on this call that I want to mention before we cap, is that these big leaps of faith don't just apply to like moving to another country or traveling. There's like other areas of your life where it comes into play. And one of the biggest ones that come into play for me, and I say this, Krystal, with a lot of love and a lot of like sensitivity and vulnerability, and that was like ending a long-term relationship. That was a huge leap of faith for me. Like we both, because we loved each other so much, like put so much time, energy, investment into continuing to try to make it work. And there was a part of me, that wanted to keep trying, that wanted to keep fighting to make it work. But there was that uppercase knowing, again, that little voice, as my mom would say, that was like, okay, you know, like this isn't it. And it was a leap of faith, I think, for both of us to look at the relationship and be like, okay, we're ready to move on. And to just say that with each other out of a lot of like respect and love for each other's life and happiness and fulfillment. And it was a leap for me because in my mind I'm going, you know, wow, you know, I found great love in this person. Like, am I going to be able to find that again? Or should I just stay? And I said, okay, you know, like I'm just going to trust, then listen to that inner voice of knowing, trust that this is the right thing for me in my life, and take the leap in the relationship and know that like I am worthy, that I attract big love, and that it's going to happen again. And next time it'll be the right for each one of us, you know?
I'm sending so much love to both of you, because I feel like there's a fundamental shift happening when we take these leaps of faith, especially when it comes to another person that we love very deeply, that it doesn't have to be this like chaotic, dramatic, terrible, hurtful, painful thing. Like the way that you guys parted was with such love. And I just want to celebrate that. It's so beautiful, because I have so much love for both of you. I didn't even, you know, I wasn't part of things, but like, of course, I'm like, they're real. No, but just like sending both of you guys love, because I've seen your journey of how much you've grown. And the leap of faith is purely an expression of leaping into uncertainty. And whether it's leaving someone you love, or having a difficult conversation, you have no idea how it's going to turn out. Or maybe it's like wandering around your neighborhood, going down streets you never, like, there's so much to be noticed and like people to meet. There's so much happening out there. So I want to send you guys all off with some kind of like action step for leap of faith. So whether it be booking a one-way ticket, it's the one that's been nagging in your mind, like, oh, I've been wanting to do that for so long, or having a conversation with a stranger, leaping into that uncertainty of like, I have no idea how this is going to turn out, but what do I have to learn? You know, like what are those ways in our everyday that we can take these leaps and build up that muscle so that when that big, amazing opportunity comes to like move across country or take that big job or fall in love with this amazing person and really commit to an incredible relationship, we're already doing the work of building up that strength within us.
Mm-hmm.
What a juicy topic. And we're going to have so much, I mean, we could do like leap of faith, like weekly at the pace our lives are going. Like, what was your leap of faith of the past 5 days? But yeah, so do you have anything else to throw in before we wrap?
I guess what I would say is just we want to hear about what's going on in your life. Like what type of leap of faith you've been plotting or considering or maybe called to that you are resisting, and how you're going to choose to show up and move through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we want to hear that. We want to hear what's going on in your world and how those leaps of faith are, what gifts are they bringing you? And just so you guys know, we have a brand new dedicated What the Crap TV YouTube station. Woo! So we're going to be posting all of our videos there. And you guys feel free.
Stupid human tricks.
I'm impressed. That totally took my breath away. So any kind of ideas that you guys have for new What the Crap episodes, let us know what you feel about Leap of Faith, how you're doing it in your world, and we'll be back soon with more topics. So until then, have fun, live open-heartedly, be brave. We love you all.
Adios, arrivederci, ciao.
Bye.